Welcome to the Urban Debate. You're watching Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. I'm Faye D'Souza. Let's take a look at what's making headlines at this hour. Big Magic Bricks Now impact. The Aam Aadmi Party proposes amendments to Delhi's Land Reforms Act. The proposals could make it easier to change land use from agricultural to non-agricultural. Experts hail the move as a stepping stone for the implementation of the much-awaited land pooling policy. Landmark judgment by the Delhi High Court questions service tax on under-construction property. It says service tax should only be charged on costs like preferential location charges. Magic Bricks Now brings you exclusive details of the verdict. In a big push for housing, the Maharashtra government proposes to change zoning of unused industrial land. The proposal will allow developers to build homes and offices on such plots in Mumbai, Thane, Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad areas.
Really, I am thankful to you and the channel that last time in my interview I had given some deadlines that I'll start my work.
Big Magic Bricks Now impact. NCR developers start initiatives to comfort home buyers with stuck projects. Amrapali Group leads the change, shifts offices to project sites to better address home buyer grievances over project delays. Focus on that big impact. Our sustained reportage of project delays is beginning to show results. In clear evidence on action on the ground, NCR developer Amrapali has shifted its corporate office. And the company will now work out of offices located on construction sites of its delayed projects. This, the company hopes, will help them reach out better to agitating buyers. My colleague Deepa Rana caught up with the CMD Anil Sharma. Listen to what he had to say.
There are 3-4 offices. We have to run post and pillar to get my things resolved. So I thought that let us sit on the construction site of the respective buildings so that we can give one-point solution, single window solution to my home buyers, and there will be only one corporate office where we'll sit sometimes to resolve other issues. And we are getting a fantastic progress here, because if they come, we are going to start possession soon, so they need not to come to corporate office. They want to see here their flats, they want to pay, they want to get their NOCs and other things. So we are giving them one solution under one roof.
You've been meeting the home buyers also personally of different projects. How is the meetings going? Which all projects are now streamlined and are on progress?
Really, I am thankful to you and the channel that last time in my interview I had given some deadlines that I'll start my work day and night. And definitely we are sitting on every site every day. You will find all seniors, all departments, all those sites. And I'm really inviting you right now. You can go to the sites and see the progress. So I'm really encouraged, and I'm going to deliver homes whatever we have committed.
So there are home buyers of the Sapphire project particularly who have been talking for a very long time. They started this entire Twitter campaign also against the delay of possession. They've been also going to your help desk which you had set up, but they say it's not much of help. What would you want to say to that?
No, I'll tell you one thing. There are 2 phases in Sapphire. First phase, whatever the leftover work was there, a lot of hue and cry you all witnessed. We progressed to a great extent.
Well, it is a day of big impacts here on the channel. The Aam Aadmi Party has proposed to amend the Delhi Land Reform Act. Now, remember, we've taken this up quite strongly here on Magic Bricks Now to implement the land pooling policy in the capital. Our reporter Deepa Rana caught up with Ramesh Menon, director at Cast Realty, who's been fighting very hard for the land pooling policy to be moved by the Aam Aadmi Party. Listen to what he had to say on the progress that's being made in that area.
Yes, it was the most important step rather, because the Land Reforms Act was created way back in 1954 to ensure that the land is not defragmented, or to make sure that the farmers keep using it for agriculture purpose. Things have changed since then. We are talking about Delhi being the first state in the country which will be 100% urbanized. So most of those archaic laws which were framed way back 60 years back have to go now. for urbanization. So when we talk about urbanization, you see, we are talking about land being used for non-agriculture purposes, which is what Section 81, 82 were forbidding. So if an apartment complex has to come up, work places have to come up, factories have to come up, those lands have to be converted to non-agriculture use. So which was an impediment earlier under those sections in the of the Delhi Land Reform Act. So they go. What Magic Breaks has done is you brought this into the on front pages of the news. You know, this was a struggle that people were having in little smaller groups. You gave them a vent, and now it is in the mainstream. The second fact is, you know, the Delhi government also has done their own internal confabulations to understand where to start from. So I guess it's a very welcome move to start from the Delhi Land Reform Act, take the smaller impediments away so that the larger game plan can be unveiled or unrolled as we go along.
Well, like I said, it is a big day for impacts, and tonight in the urban debate, we revisit an issue that we popped up and we looked at in Navi Mumbai. The government's city planning wing, CIDCO, and developers, remember, on the channel had a face-off in Navi Mumbai because of slow movement of approvals. Developers alleged that CIDCO was anti-development and was proving to be a roadblock for development in that area. CIDCO, in its defense, had said that no wrongdoing was being done. But in the meantime, we found other evidence from foreign investors to say that there wasn't enough action happening on the ground and that CIDCO was in fact slow and corrupt. The state government heard us out, and we want to know now, has there been any action taken? Joining me on the show tonight, Shaina NC, national spokesperson of the BJP, who had addressed the issue the first time we brought it up. Shaina, thank you for coming into the studio. Rajesh Prajapati is the managing director at Prajapati Group. Prakash Bhaviskar is the president of MCHI Navi Mumbai, and Mohammad Israel Sheikh, director at Unimax. All of them joining us again. This is the same panel that took up the CIDCO issue to begin with. We also understand that we'll have Bhushan Gagrani on the phone line with us in a little while. But first, Shaina, I want to ask you this. After we brought this up, and you told us the state government would take a very, very close look at what's going on in CIDCO, what movement has been made? What have your investigations revealed so far?
Oh, they're tremendous. I mean, when you talk about global investment and people who've had question marks with CIDCO's response, the first thing that CIDCO said is that we're willing to buy back the land if you choose not to go ahead with a particular proposal. It's very rare that you have government participation like this. Normally, we know that people leave people in abeyance and really don't care about the investor. And if in this particular case, the investor chooses to surrender the plot to CIDCO, there is an opportunity for them to move out. If the investor wishes to continue, they need to agree on certain terms and conditions. I think the one thing that came out, Faye, post all of this, is that there are a lot of people who feel they're not getting permissions, but they don't realize that they're not getting it because they don't have the legitimate, sanctions for their planning.
Right.
And if you don't, you cannot expect the government to just ad hoc give you a go-ahead on everything that you wish. There have been areas of contention vis-a-vis the FSI. We all know it's one for Gautans. The fact that you want four for other avenues, but do understand that in a planning authority which is relatively new, you need to adhere to the stipulated conditions for a sanction. And if you don't, you cannot feel you're being wronged.
All right, it's very interesting you brought that up because the three other gentlemen on the panel today have exactly the sentiment that you just mentioned. Rajesh Prajapati, what Shaina is saying is simply this, that if you do not have the adequate documents, if your proposal is not adequate, then you cannot expect permissions. But defend proposals here in this case. I mean, we looked at the numbers. The numbers remain the same. 29 permissions out of over 251. That has not changed since we did the show the last time. Tell us why things are not moving. Is it because you have inadequate paperwork when you submit these proposals?
No, there is a change there, Faye.
Okay.
We have last week one clearance which has been given by the NAINA authorities, and that was reported in the local newspaper. So it is it's very strange that one proposal,
in the last 1 month. Yes.
In the last 1 month. So that is the count which is happening, just like we said the other day, we are not asking for any concessions or relaxations. We have been submitting all documents to the NENA authorities, to CIDCO. In fact, the NENA authorities do not take the file inward unless all the documents are not there. So it is absolutely incorrect to to point out that certain documents may not have been there. Yes, during the course of time, each NOC or each document has its validity period. And if the permission is not granted for a long period of time, then the validity of that document is lost. And then
Tell me this, when you start the conversation with CIDCO, have things improved on the ground now when you actually have a conversation with someone saying, tell me why you've rejected this, can we work on something like this? Is there a more open dialogue? Because the last time we talked, you talked about the fact that people in CIDCO are anti-development. You said anti-development. Has that changed?
You see, we have had a change in the top management of CIDCO. Mr. Bhushan Gagrani has come in. Okay. And after a very long time, we had actually got the opportunity to meet the managing director. He had given us time for us to come and meet and present the case, our case. And he was very, very positive. After a long time, we have seen that such a positive sentiment from CIDCO area, from CIDCO authorities.
I'd like to second that. He's probably one of our finest officers.
So we will always be saying, that when we get a positive feedback and we get a positive response, we are so happy that, such a person has come who has immediately, he said, in a couple of days he gave us the appointment, and there were around 14-15 points which we narrated to him, and on all the points he said we'll meet the next time and we'll come with decisions. So that is a very positive sign which I feel has happened after the your show has taken up the issue, and the immediate effect I think is in the second board meeting itself. I think CIDCO has approved 1.5 FSI for the plots in which CRZ, which were affected by CRZ, but where the work was not started. So, which was a case which was pending for the last 12 months or more. So, there is a positive development, of course.
Okay, so from what we understand, a couple of things have changed on the ground. After Bhushan Gagrani has taken over, there have been, from what I understand, 2 transfers in the planning department of CIDCO among those officers. And there has been a change on the ground in terms of the kind of response you're receiving from CIDCO. Prakash Bhaviskar, aap bataiye, has there been a change on the ground? What sort of changes would you ideally like to see going forward? Because this is a positive start, but this is not the entire solution. इसके आगे क्या होनी चाहिए?
सबसे पहले तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो 3 साल में यहाँ पर सिडको में हो रहा था, उसमें हमें चेंजेस दिखाई दे रहे हैं. और भूषण गगरानी जी इतने अच्छे ऑफिसर हैं कि उन्होंने MIDC से लेकर गवर्नमेंट में बहुत अच्छा काम किया हुआ है. और अभी उन्होंने सबसे पहले, मुझे लगता है, मुझे जो मालूम आता है उसमें मुझे ऐसा मालूम पड़ा कि इन्होंने सबसे पहले कंसल्टेंट को निकाल दिया, डेपुटेशन के लोगों को निकाल दिया, कुछ ट्रांसफर अभी करा दिए. तो थोड़ा अभी डेवलपमेंट में जरूर टाइम जाएगा इनको मोमेंट लेने में, और जरूर इसमें डिफरेंस होगा. लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे नैना के बारे में अगर हम कहेंगे तो नैना के बारे में जैसे आपने पूछा कि MMR ने यहाँ पर रूल फिट आउट किए हुए हैं. यहाँ पर सिडको को नए रूल बनाने नहीं है, और सेम रूल पर टाउन प्लानिंग अलीबाग रायगढ़ ये 30 से 40 परमिशन दे रहा था. आज हमने 251 वहाँ पे प्रोसीजर किए हुए हैं. जैसे हमारे फ्रेंड ने कहा कि यहाँ पर जो सबमिशन होता है ये तो पहले डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ होता है, सब कुछ क्लियर है. यहाँ पर डिग्री होल्डर्स आर्किटेक्ट ने प्रॉपरली एज पर रूल प्लान बनाए हुए हैं. ये 251 में एक भी आदमी ऐसा नहीं है कि जो रूल के मुताबिक प्लान नहीं बना सकता. तो इसमें कुछ तो भी चेंज होने की जरूरत है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 3 साल से उनका माइंड सेटअप है और मुझे अप्रूवल्स नहीं देना है. मुझे लगता है वहां पे भी थोड़ी ट्रांसफर होने की जरूरत है, ऐसे मुझे लगता है.
And what responses did you get from Bhushan Gagrani, which when you brought this up to him, because you had a meeting with him about this, didn't you?
हाँ, नहीं, हमने उनके साथ मीटिंग किया. कम से कम उन्होंने 1 घंटा 20 मिनट हमारी हर बात सुन ली. और हमने उनको यही बताया कि सिडको की एम मुंबई की पॉपुलेशन वहाँ पे डाइवर्ट करने के लिए है। और यहाँ पर सबसे पहले हमारा खाना यहाँ पर जो है वो लैंड है, जब तक लैंड अवेलेबल नहीं होगी तब तक कुछ नहीं होगा। तो पुराने जो टेंडर्स की सिस्टम थी, मुझे लगता है कि गए वीक में एक टेंडर निकाला गया, वहां पर अगर कारपेट का रेट 20,000 रुपया पर स्क्वायर फीट अगर निकलता है, तो अगर LIG और EIG में
अफोर्डेबल हाउसेस नहीं बन सकते।
30 स्क्वायर मीटर में अगर घर बनाना चाहे तो लैंड कॉस्ट 45 लाख हो जाएगी। तो गवर्नमेंट तो चाहती है 10 लाख में घर बने, तो 45 लाख में कैसे पॉसिबल है? लैंड कॉस्ट 45 हो जाएगी, कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट 45 हो जाएगी, अदर एक्सपेंस हो जाएगा, तो 1 करोड़ का घर बनेगा टेंडर में। तो हम तो चाहते हैं कि लैंड सबसे पहले जो पहले सिस्टम से अलॉट की जाती थी, जैसे कि सोसाइटी सिस्टम, अगर लोग एक साथ आए तो उनको लैंड दी जाती थी। अगर इंडिविजुअल कोई बंगलो बनाना चाहे,
आपका कहना है that the rules need to be simplified. The rules need to be simplified for affordable housing within the Naina area. That's what you're saying.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। और टाउनशिप के लिए जो गवर्नमेंट ने अभी 24 को कैबिनेट ने पॉलिसी डिसाइड किया कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा टाउनशिप के लिए प्रमोट करना है हमको। तो टाउनशिप के लिए अगर प्रमोट करना है तो 270 गांवों के अंदर इनको नैना का प्लान बनाने दिया है। इस नैना के प्लान में उन्होंने टाउनशिप के लिए फैसिलिटेट करना चाहिए। हमको इंटरनल कोई भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं चाहिए। वहां पे उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट ने कंपल्शन किया है कि 24 मीटर का रोड होना चाहिए। ये सब चीजें फैसिलिटेट करना चाहिए।
All right, so there should be a facilitation of affordable housing. Shaina, I'm going to bring it back to you because we've taken these things to you in the past and you've helped us out with everything else. There is a pitch here for simpler rules for affordable housing within the Naina region. Which I think falls into the larger plan of affordable housing both for the central government and the state government, which I know both governments are very, very bullish on, that we want to build homes for people who cannot afford homes in our big cities. Is there room here to reconsider the rules, perhaps to sit down with, with people with like-minded aim to say, how can we make affordable housing possible?
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt. Otherwise, if you ask any of the people on your panel, just ask them what is the difference between 3 years back to now, and they will tell you that there is a change of government, there is a change of vision, and we are not here to make it ease of doing bad business, but at the same time, under the parameters of ease of doing business, you must follow the guidelines. Now, this is the first time that you have CIDCO, which puts everything on a public website, absolutely transparent, to suggest why a person has got a permission, why a person has not got a permission. So if you have 251 people who have applied, of which only 29 have secured, and as Mr. Prajapati said, one has recently got, what were the parameters that one got the permissions for? I think that should also be a case study where builders and the developing community lead by example, but learn from these examples as well. Now, if there is a corrective measure which needs to be taken, and I do believe that Bhushan Gagrani has proved his mettle even in his previous tenure as MIDC chief, the fact that he is here at CIDCO interacting with developers, saying that he wants to come up with solutions, wants to focus on low-cost housing, it shows you that the intent of the government is at the right place and at the right time. As far as technicalities go, of course a builder would want more FSI, more leeways, and of course we would want better planning and better infrastructure and think about the future, etc. So I think that we need to arrive at a midway path where the government can envisage a great idea of collective smart cities and in a way a monumental project, because we all know that Navi Mumbai is 1.5 times the size of the island city itself. So it needs to be well planned. We cannot make hasty decisions, and we cannot be just working on somebody else's loan in the bank.
Somebody else's loan in the bank. Rajesh Prajapati, respond to that. There are 3 things in that entire answer that you should actually respond to. First of all, wanting more FSI and more leeway. The fact that why can't you learn from the example of the 29 approvals that have been given out? And of course, somebody else's loan in the bank. Rajesh Prajapati.
You see, we have never asked for any additional FSI. Whatever plans have been submitted are within those parameters. If there is a rental housing scheme where the FSI is already 4, only there the FSI which has been demanded by the developers is 4 FSI, which is there in the policy. So developers have never asked for any FSI which is more. That is what we are trying to explain every time, that we have never asked for any concession. We have not asked for any relaxation.
So then respond to that thing. If there are 29 approvals that have been given out,
yeah.
what China is recommending is that you learn from those examples. So there must have been some things that those
That they've
29
done right.
were doing right. Why
And
weren't
something that the others are doing wrong.
It has to be, every case has to be studied, but then to counter that, we are saying that there are 30 to 40 proposals which are being approved by the collector office
Maybe they're doing something wrong.
No, there is
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Because
you cannot assume that because they're getting permissions, they're doing it right, and because they're not giving permissions, they're doing it wrong or right. I think that we need to be objective, and that's why I said if they're case studies, all of you are developers, you all know the subject better than me or anyone else. If you just go through the parameters.
China actually,
I think there is a case of crippling honesty over, even if a person is honest and anti-development, the attitude is anti-development. Some people are anti-development.
No.
Some
What do you mean
people
by
are
crippling
statistically anti-development.
No, I don't buy this
that is-
argument. Please don't demoralize good, honest officers. If at all, applaud
It does not
them.
mean that the
No, if you're saying
officers in the collector
if
office
you're
are-
saying
are
crippling honesty, what does that mean?
That means that the person, some of the people want to
questioning-
project themselves in such an honest manner that, fine.
Rajesh,
that,
but
that's a
people
very
have-
convenient
I don't know if honesty is something
debate.
we want to hold against
Yes.
an
Yeah,
officer
absolutely.
at any
Of
point
course,
of time.
there
We
is-
need to encourage it.
So-
Of course.
If the rules, so my question is, okay, Sheikh, come in here, you haven't said anything so far. If there are a set of rules, then just following those rules should gain you your permissions. Are you saying here that the rules are not clear enough, which is why the permissions are not coming through? Is there too much discretion allowed to the person making the decision as far as the rules are concerned, which means the rules are not watertight? What is the problem here? If the same set of rules are being followed in Alibag and in the Naina region, how can there be so much of a difference? If there are rules, the rules should just simply be followed. And if the problem is honesty, then we're not even talking corruption here. So what is the problem?
Talking
then?
corruption.
First of all, I would-
right in the first place, we have said we are
Okay.
not talking
All right.
corruption.
One second. I'm just going to interrupt you because Bhushan Gagrani is on the phone line right now. We've been trying to speak to him for a while. Mr. Gagrani, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the show. I want to very quickly ask you this. We are getting, of course, reports that things are changing on the ground as far as CIDCO is concerned. I understand that you met with a group of developers to understand their concerns. Tell us what changes you are actioning on the ground.
See, as far as this the case is concerned, which we had talked about last time,
Yes.
taking clue of the discussions which happened on the Magic Brick, we have called for the discussion to the party,
Yes.
and we have given them two options.
Yes.
The first option is to surrender that land completely to CIDCO as per the policy, or if else the company wants to develop it,
Right.
that we will allow it with imposing some penalty as per our rules. So both options have been given. They are considering these both options, and they will revert back very soon.
Mr. Gagrani, I also understand there have been several transfers in CIDCO so far. Is this in reaction to complaints you've received of inaction or inefficiency within within the team? Are you making changes within the team right now in your planning department?
Well, I would say these are the normal annual transfers, not necessarily connected with this.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, these are normal annual transfers, but we are taking this opportunity to have an introspection within the organization also.
And also, I want to understand from you, Mr. Gagrani, since you've taken over now, it's been nearly 2 months. Tell us what vision you have at this point for CIDCO and for the Naina region going forward. There is a development plan that's being approved, I understand, at the Chief Minister's table at this point. What vision do you have for that area? And if you were to iron out all of the ease of doing business issues that the neighborhood is facing at this point, how fast do you think we can see development come up?
The plan which is prepared for the phase 1 of Naina, that is with the government, and it can be approved very soon. We have a round of discussion. And the entire Naina development is dependent on the development of airport.
Okay. And what is the status of the airport,
So
Mr. Gagrani?
we have planned from our side, and I think we are very excited and very bullish about implementation of these plans.
Could you give us a timeline on the airport?
Airport, the first phase will be ready from 3 years from now.
3 years from now.
So phase one of the airport. Yeah, that's right.
All right, and with me in the studio, Mr. Gagrani, are 3 developers who tell us that they find officers in CIDCO anti-development, honest to a point where they refuse to clear anything.
I don't fully subscribe to this view.
Okay.
It's a mutual, whatever the problems are there, but we are open to discussions, and we are ready to, if there are some shortcomings from a CIDCO side, we are ready to rectify those things.
There is a view, of course, that since the same rules are being applied both in the Alibag municipality at this point and within the CIDCO Naina region, somehow CIDCO doesn't seem to be as willing to give clearances. Is this an issue of, officers that are very honest, or do we still have Mr. Gagrani? Okay, we've lost him on the phone line, but he did say some very, very positive things there. Rajesh Prajapati was responding to you. He said, we will do whatever it takes to move things forward in reaction to the issue that we've taken up on the channel. So if there is now, this is what we've been asking for, a conversation that's opened up between CIDCO and developers like yourself, then we should be able to create a watertight set of rules that will be easier for you to navigate. Is that what you need right now?
Yes, that is exactly what we needed. In the past dispensation, we used to not get a meeting with the honorable, MD or the higher officers for 6 months, 8 months. There used to be no meeting between the stakeholders, and therefore there was a huge gap between us. Now, there are certain issues which are policy issues, which are very, very simple. At that point of time, they were taken. Maybe it was a need of the hour, but for today, they are not at all conducive. Like, for example,
right.
There is a policy which has been approved in which a minimum area of flat has to be 100 square meters or more in a residential amalgamated bungalow plot. Now 100 square meters or more is too huge, and
right.
Here we are talking about the Prime Minister's plan in
Of
which 60 square meters
60
and
square
below,
meters, right.
and here on the other hand CIDCO makes such kind of policies. So we
Okay,
have...
so that's point number one. We'll take that to CIDCO on your behalf. Shaina is also listening, so we'll bring that out. The fact that if there is a rule that says apartments have to have a minimum square foot of 100 square meters, it doesn't fit into the plan of the central government of what is affordable housing. That's one. Is there anything else you'd like us to represent?
There are so many. I think there is an issue of additional lease premium which has been increased, in some cases 40 times or 20 times. Minimum it has increased by 20 times. I am talking about times, not 20%. Okay. So the person who wants to make a legal house is very, very constrained, and the construction cost is 10% of the cost which has to be paid to CIDCO as additional lease premium. So these things are there which are hindering the development of housing projects in CIDCO, and these are the things which we have conveyed to the honorable MD, and he has taken up those things very seriously. Yeah.
All right, so we'll convey that as well, because at the end of the day, as far as we're concerned as a channel, our focus is the home buyer, our focus is affordable housing, and being able to partner with government and with anybody else really who's willing and focused on providing affordable housing. Mohammed Sheikh, the response we received, to be fair, from Mr. Gagrani just now on the phone and from the state government has been extremely positive. I want to understand from you, what more do developers want?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see that this time, first time I'm seeing that the media and politics as the private developer, they are continuously following the issue. It's a good thing. It's a positive sign where we are trying to solve the problem. We are discussing over here to solve the problem, not go in the history. I'll take out the few points. See, Naina is not only the planning authority in India that they have the rules. See, process is always made to do the things right. As a developer, we are expecting an ease of doing business, right ease of doing business. It does not mean that we are expecting something which out of the box, or we don't want to comply with the systems and all. And the third thing is that since 3 years, just now Mr. Gagrani sir has told us that phase 1 is going to shape now, right? What about the phase 2nd and 3rd? Huge investment is there. The people who have started the project around 3 years back, due to the NANA, their project is on hold now. What about their project? And third thing, online. As you, Sainaji just said that everything is available in the online. If you go to the CIDCO website, I'm not blaming. Let's try to work together to make this our nation more better. Online things is not working properly. I have applied for an OC. Since 3 days, the website was not working.
Okay.
There was no answer on that. See, the moment if we do, government should make money. I should not tell to the government, but it's my thought that government job and make money through the taxes, not through the businesses. Like in US and other countries, few other countries is also there. Like the moment we did the privatization of the passport thing, it's got so smoothly. Initially it was difficult, but now
so efficiency in the system.
Yes. And third thing is, we are hungry for the sanction. We are not hungry for the FSI at this moment.
Okay.
I mean, these are the few points which I wanted to share. I mean,
so, which brings me back to that question, which I'm sorry, I interrupted you while you were answering it the first time. If there are rules set in place, then there shouldn't be anybody fighting for it. There shouldn't be anybody hungry. It should be a simple process that just gives you your permissions.
Right.
So, is it, like I said, is the problem that the rules are not clear enough, or there's too much discretion allowed in the hands of the person making the decision? Where is the problem here?
See, I'll tell you one thing. As just Mr. Gagrani said, that the phase 1. What about the phase 2 and 3?
No, so answer my question about the rules. If there is a process, if there is a set of rules which you need to follow in order to receive your permission, where is the problem then?
As we are talking about the online things, can we go and check to the website, is the things are available online properly or not? First thing is that. Second thing, can we apply everything on online, like they have recently started giving a sanction online? We cannot do that.
Okay, no, that's not the answer to my question. I'm going to take this question over to Mr. Bhaviskar. Bhaviskar ji, aap bataiye, if the rules are clear, if there is a certain set of rules that you have to follow in order to get clearances from CIDCO, then where is the problem?
प्रॉब्लम ऐसा है कि जो रूल्स एमएमआर के पहले बन चुके हैं उससे एडिशनल और भी ऐसे लोड इन्होंने डाल दिए हैं कि जैसे कि नैना का ड्राफ्ट रूल जो बनाए गए वो अभी तक गवर्नमेंट ने सैंक्शन नहीं दिए हुए हैं. उससे पहले उसमें इंक्लूडेड एफएसआई देने की तैयारी सिडको की नहीं है, लेकिन उस पे जो 2,81,000 का जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चार्ज है वो वसूली करने का काम चालू हो गया. उसको कहां से सैंक्शन दिया गया?
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चार्ज कितना होता है?
ये पर हेक्टर इन्होंने 2811 पर स्क्वायर मीटर का चार्जेस है. मतलब पर हेक्टर इसका चार्ज जाता है 2,81,000 पर हेक्टर. तो इतने बड़े चार्जेस जो प्रैक्टिकली वहां पे लैंड कॉस्ट भी नहीं है. और एक बात मैं थोड़ा रिपीट करना चाहूंगा कि आदरणीय गगरानी जी ने कहा कि हम गवर्नमेंट की सैंक्शन के लिए इंतजार कर रहे हैं. शाहिना जी से और गगरानी जी से मेरा हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट है कि जो 4,000 ऑब्जेक्शंस उसके ऊपर आए हैं, इसका कोई भी गौर नहीं किया गया, उसको सीरियसली देखा नहीं गया है. इट इज गवर्नमेंट को भी मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूं, सिडको को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूं, ये एरिया के जो लोगों ने 4,000 ऑब्जेक्शंस लगाए हुए हैं, दिए हुए हैं, राइटिंग में दिए हुए हैं, उसका वापस उसके ऊपर रिव्यू किया जाए और फिर प्लान पास किया जाए. अगर ऐसा का ऐसा नैना का प्लान पास हुआ तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि आगे के 20 साल ये एरिया का कोई डेवलपमेंट होगा. ये कोई भी रिटायर्ड प्लानर को भी आप पूछ सकते हैं, सिडको के खुद रिटायर्ड प्लानर को भी आप ये चीज पूछ सकते हैं, या गवर्नमेंट के टाउन प्लानिंग डिपार्टमेंट के टाउन प्लानर्स को भी ये चीज पूछ सकते हैं आप. क्योंकि आप 2,81,000 देंगे, वहां पे रास्ता नहीं देंगे, वहां पे गटर नहीं देंगे, कुछ भी नहीं देंगे, और आप
भास्कर जी अगर वो
2 करोड़ 81 लाख
2 crore 81 lakhs
2 crore 81 lakhs per hectare
पर
hectare in development fees that need to be paid.
वो प्लान पास करने के लिए इतना पैसा भरना है जहां पर लैंड कॉस्ट ऑलरेडी इतनी है नहीं. गवर्नमेंट की कॉस्ट जो है, गवर्नमेंट की वैल्यू है, वो इससे 6 टाइम रिड्यूस है, कम है, उससे कम है. तो कैसे वहां पर प्लान पास होगा? और ये एक्चुअल प्लान इतना पैसा लेने के बाद वहां पर अगर आप प्लान देखोगे तो कोई भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दिया जाने वाला नहीं है. ये उसमें क्लियर है रूल्स में.
Rajesh Prajapati, how did a plan that if this is to be believed, if the plan is that faulty, how did it reach up to the Chief Minister's office? Because there are various points at which plans are checked. There are various checks and balances. How did something that you claim is so faulty get cleared up till the Chief Minister's office?
Yeah, that is, that is a miracle which has happened, which we are also quite surprised that, but there is a general consensus. When we met Mr. Gagrani also, we had explained to him that in this form, if this policy is approved by the government, then definitely there is because we are one of the stakeholders there. We have given objections, and even the villagers have given, a huge number of villagers have given objections, but somehow they have been kept aside, and there are certain I believe there are certain things which were not in the original plan which has been included afterwards. So these things never happen. In the government cannot change the policy after declaring. So which has happened
when you made a representation to Mr. Bhushan Gagrani about it, what response did you get?
He was categorical that this has reached to that stage in which it is very little that he can do about it. But then we approached even of course now he is no longer a minister, but Mr. Khadse, when he had come for the inauguration, and he had agreed to take a meeting between us and chief minister, because it's difficult to meet the chief minister. So, if we meet the chief minister, we can explain to him that how faulty this नैना system is.
अभी ये बॉल गवर्नमेंट के कोर्ट में जा चुका है, तो इसीलिए मुझे नहीं लगता कि सिडको से कोई इंटरफेयर करके वहां कुछ होगा.
Okay, so because it's at the chief minister's office right now, Bhushan Gagrani per se can't do anything about it. Shaina, and see, what can be done right now if there is a plan at the chief minister's table ready to be signed, which with 4,000 objections against it, with various flaws that need to be looked at. Is there something that can be done at this point to sort of relook at it? Because if we look at a 2 crore rupee per hectare infrastructure charge, the fact that the policy is flawed in several areas, which perhaps might take one more look at, is that something that might be possible?
Well, I know it's a direct request. And yes, we can take a delegation to the Chief Minister, and I'm sure the Honourable Chief Minister would be interested to hear out. But obviously, not vis-a-vis 4,000 suggestions. I think you'll have to streamline it.
I think the one suggestion here is to get a second town planning team to just look at the plan one more time.
I think between myself and Mr. Bhushan Gagrani, we can clearly take a delegation to the Honourable Chief Minister and leave it to his discretion. If he feels he's always been a man of conviction and has shown the political will that if he feels there is something wrong, be it the development plan of Mumbai, where we've had a complete review, not even bothered about the criticism because we thought that that is in the interest of the city. I'm sure we could do the same or similar even at this juncture.
All right, same or similar at this juncture. I also want to understand, Shaina, we've taken so many different representations.
I've become Magic Bricks official messenger.
Magic Bricks is official messenger to the chief minister and to the state government. But I want to understand from you. Obviously, there are expectations here from industry as well, from the government. These are linked to expectations that the average Mumbaikar or the average Maharashtrian has from industry that's building homes. I want to understand from you right now, from a government's point of view, what do you expect from industry, from the panel that's listening, and from the rest who I know have tuned in this evening to hear this conversation?
Well, if I can be very, very frank, our government has only 2-3 ideas in mind. One is, of course, affordable housing as a priority, because this has not just been a poll promise, this has been the vision plan of the Honourable Chief Minister, the Honourable Prime Minister, and we have worked in that direction, be it smart cities, be it better infrastructure, low-cost housing. But I think that the one thing that we have also interlinked, which is a sort of MOU on transparency, where there has to be absolute transparency, zero corruption, and you would appreciate for the same builders sitting here, you ask them to put their hand on their conscience and tell us that in the previous government, how much they needed to spend to have each file move from table to table. And if all of that has ended, then I think that is also something that we need to applaud as a mature society, and to understand that in the days to come, it may be painful initially, but that injection does work.
Yes, and the other thing that I'd like to point out is that to this very panel, the fact that we came forward and we had this conversation to begin with, that you were willing to come forward and actually, name names, to talk about what's going on is how we've gotten this far in terms of making changes. So the appeal to industry is to come forward and talk about any of the problems that you're facing, whether it is with CIDCO or with the BMC or with the Thane or the Navi Mumbai municipal corporations. My appeal to industry is to come forward, and that's what this platform is for, to come forward and talk about the issues that you're facing. And Rajesh Prajapati respond to this in terms of the kind of time and energy it used to take 3-4 years ago to where it is today. Are you seeing a difference on the ground? Are you seeing a difference in political will?
Yes, of course, there is a difference in the political will. We are seeing at the highest levels of the government, in the central government as well, where the Prime Minister himself is talking about housing, not only talking but also leading the entire nation towards the promise of housing for all by 2022. Not only that, but earlier we used to never, very few times we used to hear the name of housing in the budget, but there are so many references to housing in this budget, so and there have been strong recommendations, strong policy decisions which have been taken by this government. In fact, the RERA bill, which has been passed, has been passed by this government, and we welcomed RERA, because we also want business to be transparent. We also want our children to enter into the business, because the way this business was perceived and is being the image is being perceived, the children would not want to be part of such a business. So we also want transparency, and we are happy that there has been a change, positive change.
All right, so there has been a change, there's been a positive change, and this is an impact that's happened right here on this show. The fact that issues have been brought up, they've been addressed by both the state government and by CIDCO. They're looking into what changes need to be done, and there's actually some sort of positive change on the ground. On this channel, of course, we'll continue to track those changes very, very closely. A couple of fresh demands is, of course, to take a look at the minimum area of homes that need to be built within CIDCO, especially within Nayana, especially to make affordable homes more possible. The fact that there's a 2 crore rupee development charge right now per hectare, that possibly needs to come down as well. And the plan that's at the Chief Minister's office for an approval possibly needs a relook. These are the 3 demands that we're looking at. And of course, we'll be working with the government to try and see as much of it to some sort of logical conclusion. I want to thank our panel for joining us on the show. Shaina, I particularly want to thank you for the action that's been taken from the state government here in this particular case and from CIDCO. We look forward to pushing more changes on the ground, because the final end game, like I keep saying on this channel, is for affordable homes.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MagicBricksNow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at MagicBricksNow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/MagicBricksNow.